Yes, and a special ability for fast clicking, some editing skills, and an aperture for gaming. Kaboom! We have created a Michal!
What's your command, master?
Edit all the videos!
Wait, for the intro or for the live?
Both, creature of the deep!
Nah! I edited it anyway, mostly. Geneforge 1
Mutagen
is an isometric fantasy, very old school RPG with turn-based battle system.
You play a character in a world where there are elite sorcerers called shapers that have the ability to create life and any kind of servant that they want. You can play one of those shapers, or a guardian, or an agent, and your playstyle will depend on that. Whoever you play, you are traveling to get more training, and you get shipwrecked on an island that has been deserted for hundreds of years, and you have to find a way to survive.
And this is actually a total remaster of a cult classic you probably never heard of, from 2001. It contains new areas, new quests, characters, dialogue, and the interface and graphic is totally redesigned, but the game is otherwise very same. It is modernized, but it still looks on a purpose as outdated like 25 years ago.
Yeah, retro.
Yeah.
It should have been
super retro.
Geneforge 1 retro could have been retro remastered.
But before that, it looked even more retro, like this.
Right. So if you're wondering how this can be a remaster, that's why.
Yeah.
So as you are playing, I think we both played a shaper actually, because that's kind of the core of the game. You're exploring the world, you start meeting NPCs pretty quickly, you can upgrade your character, and this is such an old school RPG. The upgrade methods are really detailed. You have a lot of options to create a character with a playstyle that fits you. You can focus on magic, certain types of magic, on melee, on stealth, on intelligence, and those will give you different options in this really full of options world where you can use force, you can use magic, you can use combat, you can trick people, you can join the bad guys. Like, it's full of options. The main mechanic here is the ability to create creatures that will follow you around and help you fight.
Unless you play the highest difficulty.
Unless you play a guardian or an agent, actually, As a shaper, that's kind of the core of the gameplay. So if you're playing this the first time, you should probably do the shaper. It's kind of designed around that kind of gameplay. Unfortunately, the character for the creatures doesn't go very deep. There's only 9 different types of creatures. Each have 2 kind of versions. You can add lots of special abilities to them, and each time you do, it uses some of your essence. As you're upgrading your essence, you can have more creatures, and this basically makes you more powerful in a fight.
And the game has tens of hours of gameplay, over 50 hours and 80 zones to explore, but it is all that really minimalistic and so old school that when you see an item, you cannot pick it up with the mouse. You have to open your bag, and then you're gonna see everything that is in the room to pick up.
So it becomes a process of walking into a new area, opening your bag to see if there's anything to pick up in the entire room, and then moving on. Also old school, a lot of text.
Yes.
So much text.
But it is needed here because the visual is so minimalistic, it actually fits you.
Yeah, it fits, but if you don't like doing reading in your game at all, this is definitely not for you. There is a lot of story and a lot of world building, but you have to read.
Caleb, I think this game is very no-no for most of everyone who's seen the gameplay behind us, because they just see it and say no. But we're still going to ask, should you play it?
But first, you should know that this game is actually free from the Epic Game Store for 1 week, the week of June 30th, 2022. So you have 1 week to claim it and keep it forever. And that's what we do on our channel. That's why we're reviewing an old school remastered RPG, because we review every free game on the Epic Game Store to make sure that you don't miss anything that's worth your time.
This is actually a game that I enjoyed, because since we're getting all these games from Epic for free every week, I was waiting before we get a game exactly like this. And I enjoyed it because I remembered playing these games when the visual was not good enough or you had a low spec PC, that the game is so minimalistic that you can actually turn on your imagination, and actually it supports the imagination. And these new games doesn't do that to me. I think the story is good, the possibilities are great, so it's yes for me.
I'm shocked.
Yeah,
I haven't been shocked in a long time, but I'm shocked.
Of course, compared to the newest RPG, it is a trash. But it's but it is a different approach. They made it on a purpose old school because it's totally different how you play it.
Since it's free, it's true that if you're wondering like what people were excited about 20 years ago, it's an opportunity to see it, and it's a good like. It's a good version of those old school RPGs. It has an interesting world, an interesting lore behind it, and a decent amount of possibilities. But anyone who follows our channel knows that not only am I not nostalgic, I'm kind of aggressively not nostalgic. And this game is all about nostalgia. Even this remaster that came out in 2021, it is not really that different from a game from 2001. And I've got to be honest, this is a bit harsh because the studio that created it, Spiderweb Studios, is basically like one guy, and so that's impressive. That's really amazing to be able to create this, and like kudos to you. But even in 2001, like Gothica came out in 2001, and the perspective of that, the gameplay in that, I found much more engaging. I finished Gothica. I'm not sure I could finish Geneforge, even the remaster, honestly. Like several reasons why, but just one main one is like this creature creation is really interesting, but it doesn't go that deep. There's not that many options, and even if you have like a whole army of creatures, it feels like just an extension of yourself. It's just like more things to fire missiles. It doesn't feel that diverse.
Yeah, and the turn-based battle system actually is not that great.
The world is not that full and populated, so at a certain point, exploration doesn't seem to be that exciting. Anyway, you can see where I'm going. It's not a terrible game, but I wouldn't like to spend much more time on it, so it's a no for me.
That's okay. I think it will be no for most of our viewers because they are used to get AAA games from Epic sometimes.
And we do get lots of AAA games from Epic. So make sure that you're subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any of the games, and so you don't miss any of these games that might be hidden gems that you should play if you follow Michal's advice. And let us know down in the comments if you're going to give Geneforge a try and what you thought of it.
Yeah, it's free. Claim it. I'll see you next time.
Bye.